to another Drink Smoke Fight. What we're watching True Blood. This week we watched True Blood's latest episode, I Got a Right to Sing the Blues. And right off the bat, immediate action, probably one of the cooler scenes of the entire
series.
Maybe series. Maybe series.
Say it, series.
Clearly this episode was the best of the season so far. First scene, the interesting before the credit song, Bad Things, whatever. You get Sookie's capture, whatever, but then Bill is like freaking out, stabs the one vampire guy. We get a vampire and vampire death.
Melts.
I've been wanting that for quite some time. You know, it was really cool. So you got the vampire staked, and then he tried to jump on the king's shoulders.
Yeah.
And then
the king doing the
I thought that was pretty good.
I'm 3,000 years old.
Yeah, and I don't know what I expected of Eric in that situation, but
he's playing it cool. He's obviously got his own agenda. He's, you know, holding out to make sure the king gets his for what he did to his father.
Yeah, well, there's definitely he's got some agenda, but he's also doing this, like, I think it's a cover. I hope it's a cover.
The gay thing?
The gay thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think that's, like, to sell the king hard, you know, like...
But the king's 3,000 years old. Come on, he's got to have been, you know...
Gay seduced before?
Yeah, played by some fake gay guy in the past. 3,000 years. That's all. 3,000 years, man. I mean, that's likely to happen to both of us at some point.
In 3,000 years?
In our...
It could have been Godric doing it
very
to
long
him.
lives. Why not? They do mention Godric like he was kind of...
I know Godric said he was around when Jesus was around, so, like, he could have been 3,000 years old, but it sounds like the king's been by far the oldest vampire we've dealt with.
I just think the king's going to be able to pick up on that. Eric is probably the character that I'm most interested in. He's gained it on pretty hard with the king. They go off to some trip, and ends up they're going to the queen's place. And we get to see Eric, you know, show a little bit of his vampire superiority, because he's, I would say, he might be close to as old as the king.
Can't be close to as old because we saw the king, like, in full shadow form, as Eric was obviously, like, younger.
A couple hundred years, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe not 100 couple years.
He's definitely not going to be able
half
to be
as old. Would you go half as old?
Yeah, I'd go half as old. I'd say he's probably
2,000. I wonder if they've said it.
Oh,
we just don't know.
Dude, well, Viking times.
When's Viking times?
I mean, come on, you're like,
I don't fucking know.
That's like your whole deal. He is older than the queen because he said he could kill her, and he obviously could.
And that's what I was gonna say.
And he only deferred because he obviously, from living all those years in king-ruled environments, monarchies, if you will.
So he choked out the queen for a second.
And threatened to rip off her head.
And then he played off of that with the king, and he was like, no, I quite enjoyed it. Or whatever.
And he gave him like a little touch, he was like...
Yeah, they had a moment. And,
Eric's landed on hard.
Next up, we got Franklin and Tara.
That storyline was like looking like it was going somewhere, and it immediately lost all steam. So here we are now.
Yeah,
she bashes his skull in.
Yeah.
And boom, we're right back
like
in
a Morning Star or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Crushes his skull.
Exactly what it was.
Crushes his skull. I don't think that kills him.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm very interested to find out if vampires can reconstruct their whole skull out of bits, depending on how old you are.
I think on True Blood rules, you can decap them. And that kills them or stake them.
Okay, so everything.
Or sunlight, or you know.
This will be interesting.
We need to look that up, but we probably won't.
Yeah.
So
we looked up Vikings though.
They're getting it on, because Tara's playing along at this point.
Oh yeah.
To try to wait for her moment.
Very well.
Yeah, as well as she can do. I still really don't like the character at all. They're getting it on, and he wants her to bite him, and it's pretty gruesome.
And she rips a lot of neck tissue with dull teeth.
I really think vampires can just get off on like almost anything.
That was pretty crazy. Way to go, True Blood. You really took it to a level.
So Lorena has received the order from the king to kill Bill, and he even says it's going to be a pretty drawn out process. So she takes him into the barn, the basement, or the barn, or do whatever. Yeah. So she's torturing him with I guess silver things, just burning his vampire skin off.
Yeah,
it's not very interesting.
Dexter-ish.
Yeah, and I actually thought they might kill him. It gets to the point where she lets Cooter and
Debbie,
yep, start drinking all over him. She was like, "It's gonna go to waste." That's kind of sad. I mean, I understand. You're getting the point across. That they're like junkies, totally. Yeah. But
was Blood Junkies not a band from the 90s? It just sounds like a band from the 90s.
After all that torture bullshit happens, it's not very interesting. Sookie busts up in,
thinking she's gonna do something.
Yeah, because she's so badass, and
she has yet to master her psychic blast ability. So it's.
I was just gonna say she's held up by what's her face. Doesn't do any kind of mind blast. What happened there?
Didn't even try.
She was all bragging about it earlier. I can shoot shit out of my hands, and I don't know how it happens.
Sookie.
I mean,
bad.
The Rainer vamps in, bites her. What would you like to happen?
Her to become a vampire and be able to read the thoughts of vampires and people alike.
And shoot mind bullets and stuff.
She becomes the ultimate.
Oh man.
Special person.
That would be cool. Also, would be cool if that happened and Tara became a vampire. And they were like some supreme vampire hunting duo.
Big reveal this episode was the king saying he wants to try to take over the human race using werewolves. And I think that's going to come to a head by the final couple episodes.
You think we'll have a Sookie versus King of Mississippi?
I think there'll be some people who don't agree with that necessarily, trying to stop
Donna Grizzle.
There'll be sides, but that's going to be the major conflict of the whole season. This season is obviously, I think, going to be him trying to enslave the human race, because it would be so easy. Except you sleep at night, motherfuckers. We'll run 48-hour shifts if we have to.
Yeah,
we don't sleep.
It's kind of interesting. Somehow, I think Twilight has their vampires walking around in the daytime.
See, if you had Twilight vampires, we'd be worried, but you don't.
How is that possible? How are they still vampires?
It's because a Mormon wrote it. She just made some shit up.
But no, I mean, do you know
what they do.
about it?
They take popular myth and make some shit up that completely doesn't even make sense within that myth.
Oh man.
And then they publish it.
How am I supposed to focus on this shit? Yeah, enter, please. Let's get bigger pictures up here so I can stare at them instead of talk about True Blood.
Just fucking talk!
So,